Hey everyone, time for another weekly selection. And we start with Boeing, which I think is going to move soon. You have to remember that this is an essential US company. It seems to me extremely unlikely that this will not get helped if needed because it's a strategic uh, domain. And I think we go up again starting in the next couple of weeks. Even the earnings of -$10 per share could not bring it down. So if it's not going down, then it's going up. And like I said, I think it's going to start soon. Target would be the 200 area, and that's kind of it. Then we have Nike, kind of the same look here, very coiled for a move up, slight bullish divergence on this uh, retest of the lows. One thing to note is my expectation for next week is that things will be bearish and we get a pullback. The one way it could be skipped is if we have a rolling pullback, meaning indexes stay relatively flat, but let's say IWM goes down, the rest Qs stay up, or Qs go down, IWM stays up, and so on. So a rolling correction would make us move sideways. A more synced up correction between everything would make the whole index go down a bit more. I kind of expect everything to go down a bit because we moved up too much too fast. The energy from the VIX crush is nearly done, so next week should be a bit more volatile. But and because of this, we can get down then up. So that's why this is drawn here. We could potentially do a low retest, but I expect the 70 area to hold, and then we should go up again. Coke. Uh, this got various consumer staples like Coke, Pepsi, Kraft Heinz, KDP, and others like Colgate, Palmolive got hit because of fear of RFK, but I think these are close to a bounce. I would expect a move a bit lower from all of them or retest of the lows and then a strong bounce. Obviously, this can happen directly, like a bounce here wouldn't surprise me at all. There was some activity in 65C for next week, so that could happen as well. Or up, then move down to 62 to test this AVU up and then bounce. So for next week, because the expectation for the market is bearish, I think there's a chance that we go down then up on various names. It will vary from name to name, but that's still going to be a good buying opportunity. And remember that when OPEX comes, the trend tends to reverse, meaning if things go down, they will tend to go up after OPEX. If things go up, they will tend to go down after OPEX. And we have a scenario here in which we are overextended to the downside. And if once the negative delta expires, then we should see a counter move up. And it's true for Boeing, it's true for Nike, and most of the names on the list. Then we have Merck and Regeneron, which look very similar. Both are super oversold. Both are in support areas. I would expect. I'm looking for an entry for Regeneron at 800. Hopefully, we get it next week. Merck might not go lower, but should go up sideways in this area here. Maybe do a retest of another attempt that gets rejected from going below 100. Activity has been bullish. Let's see, Merck. Look at volume. Not that much call activity, but this is profit taking on puts. So these were puts that will be expiring next week, and people took profits. They're closed. Stuff like also this is a profit taking play. Not a lot else. And for we saw some activity here for next April for 110, and Regeneron some 900C for January. This is sold. I checked it earlier, and this was a close position. Probably like this was a long-term put position from earlier on, and this got closed. Not this is not a new position, and I can show you like here. So that happened on the 7th, and this is the 650. And when the OI updated, it shows that minus 400 OI. This was 500 OI before. So this was closed, and this also bullish, the fact that the position was closed. So yeah, this is looking pretty good. Then you have UWMC. It's holding 6 for now. I don't know if this will go lower later on, but uh, we got a strong rejection from 6. I think we can go up to 6.7, 6.8 relatively short term. Earnings are behind us, and then potentially retest. So I'm pretty confident that we bounce from 6 either directly like it already happened, or do something like this and we bounce, then go higher. If we get a retest later on, it's to be reassessed. If we break back above this trend line, this is extremely bullish and could go significantly higher. Then we have a bunch of oil and gas names that are looking quite good. First one is Halliburton, and this reacted positively to the Trump win and are now pulling back. This is looks like a healthy pullback, potential for a breakout here to go even higher. Then we have SLB, contract drilling. Considering Trump wants to drill even more, I think this will break out like Halliburton and SLB here. They both look very similar, like a bit more consolidation, eventually a breakout, and they will go much higher than where they are now. Another name is Oxy. This has earning next week. I don't plan on opening a position before earnings. I'll see what happens afterwards. Basically, it can go either way. It has a bullish leaning technical analysis, and on a move up, question is if it can recapture 55. If it can go back above 55, then it's potentially bullish and can go much higher. But it can go up and still go lower afterwards. Like if it gets rejected on this area between 54 and 55, it can do a low retest, it can go higher, and so on. So I don't recommend going into this before earnings, but it's a good name to look out for after earnings. Another oil and gas name which looks absolutely amazing if the breakout realizes, I'll switch to weekly. Target would be like 187.90 area. If we get a breakout here, uh, it it can it can give us a small pullback, like back to 130, let's say, consolidate a bit more, and eventually break out and do the big move. Keep an eye out on it. Maybe add a alert if we have a move above the trend line. But this looks very, very good, and the expected Trump presidency is going to make this very likely to trigger. Then we have LPL, LG Display. This attempted to make new all-time lows. I mean, it did it on, but not on a closing basis, but turned into a hammer. So this is looking pretty good here, but it's a risky play because it looks kind of like shit. It can make new lows as well. So what to look out for this one is either a breakout here on this trend line, or even a breakout here at this trend line like 371. If we get this moves over the next month or two, then it's potentially a good play for a move to 420, maybe as high as 485, something like this. But for now, it's just speculative. Uh, Watch it. If it makes new lows, don't chase it. Don't try to do anything because it might go back in. I expect a bit more consolidation in this area before an eventual attempt to move higher, and that attempt to move higher is likely going to be the real move if it is bullish. Then we have Wayfair, had decent earnings and try to go lower, try to go lower again, both saved. Uh, there was some activity in December 45C. So again, don't know if this will be a huge breakout, but I would expect we see 45C sooner rather than later. And then reassess, like it can get rejected and retest the lows, make new lows even, or it can break out and go even higher. So pretty confident in the 45C for December, but anything beyond that is questionable. For now, kind of expect this to go up. It can take a couple more days for this to, and even go lower like this, but eventually the 45C should kick in and do that. But very strange negative reaction to the Trump presidency. But this looks very much like a bottom, and could see it go to 60. Then we have some shorts, which is Buck and Goldman Sachs. The only thing that doesn't make sense to me from the election reaction is banks going up this much. I have no fucking idea why people think banks are bullish because Trump won the presidency. Like everything else makes sense. We had clean energy dumping, we had private prisons in Geo going up like fucking crazy, like this doubled, I think. What? How much? No, not double, but a lot. 70%. Um, we had industrials going up and so on, but banks going up this much was not on on. I could not have seen that coming, and they look kind of like shit. XLF still keeps this trend line and has a very clear bearish divergence here. Uh, Buck has been sold by Warren Buffett all year, and there has to be a reason why he's doing that. So if we are to choose something to short from the bank list, I think Bank of America is the top pick here, and Goldman Sachs because historically it has been kind of shit as well. Uh, so kind of expect these things to pull back a lot next week, like 5-10%, and we'll see after that. So this is a shorter move expected. I wouldn't get weeklies, probably like December puts, but I kind of think this will play out relatively soon next week. Then we have MU, which has recaptured the AVU up from the high. This time I think it's for good. Expect some consolidation going a bit sideways, maybe undercut it a bit, but not on a closing basis, like go back below the AVU up, but at the end of the day, close above it again. So a bit more consolidation here, and then I think we move higher for MU. Then we have Levy, also super oversold, also negative reaction from Trump, or no? Oh no, slightly positive, my bad. Uh, but kind of think this is bottoming out. It can go lower before higher as well because it's pressure to the downside because of OPEX, but then it should bounce up and go to like 20. This is my target 20. 3M. Initial bullish reaction, but I don't like this name. Like we are in this resistance area here coming from below after a huge run from 76 to 134, almost a double up. Um, and now it's kind of looking head and shoulders to me. There was some activity in 120 for December and 115 for December or for January. Let me look. For December. So 115 for December and the previous day has some 120. So I would expect this will push down, would get rejected here and go down to 120, 115. If it bounces, then it can be bullish again, like do like something like a horizontal range from here or something like that. But I kind of expect it to, or from here, I kind of expect it to go lower. If we do a full bearish turn, then target would be this 100 area here to fill the gap from the previous earnings or from 2 earnings ago. Then we have McDonald's, which in my opinion, this is a bear flag, and we will do a new leg down, go to 280, to 280, 285, something like this. Yeah, the 280 looks okay. Anyway, if this goes the other way, like have a alert on the upper trend line, have an alert on the lower trend line. If it breaks out, then it should top out at 313, like do a retest of this high area. But it seems unlikely that it will make new highs at this time. And finally, UPS. So we'll have DJT and not Tron Media, but transportation average, which jumped 5% on the election results. But UPS was not really part of that. And that is extremely surprising that UPS, which is part of DJT, is negative and showing so much relative weakness while uh, everything else is showing strength. This to me speaks of major weakness, and I think we have a breakdown next week. Target would be like 126, 125 for the short term, maybe a low retest, but it can go as low as 120. Given how much relative weakness this signifies, and if it follows through next week, I think we will go the full 120 drop. So yeah, that's kind of it. Still recommend playing things relatively safe, wait for the pullback, and then we can assess what things we buy for the long into year end. But for today, that's it. Have a good one. Bye bye.